Hey, this video is all about some tips for your next painting project. I know there might be some people out there saying, hey, he didn't show anything. What's up with that? I am showing you something on how to do your project maybe a little quicker, a little easier, a little cheaper maybe, and still get the same benefits as a professional. And you don't have to be a professional to do this. Don't start paying somebody to paint your own walls, even when you have to cut them in like this. You know, I did that with that little cheapo paintbrush, and I'll take this masking tape down pretty soon. And here's the key, here's the tip I wanted to show right now. This blue masking tape, you want to get the blue masking tape. I know it costs a little bit more than regular masking tape, but if you put regular masking tape down, here, your paint has a tendency to bleed down through that edge more so than this blue tape. And also when you're painting, here's another tip for you. When you're painting down here, don't just glob your paint down here and push it right down into the corner. What you want to do is start off up here and then work your way down and then flat along there, so you don't get as much buildup of paint on this edge. Because if you build up your paint right there, you may not realize it until you're ready to pull this masking tape up. Once you do that, if you're using semi-gloss or eggshell or anything other than flat, you could start having a problem peeling up a little bit of the bottom of your paint because you got too much on this line. Does that make sense? But if you got that, you might have to lightly score that. You know, just gently score that with something, a putty knife or anything like that, before you pull this off. Once you get ready to pull this off, just be careful and watch what you're doing. Don't just stand up and rip it off like willy-nilly. You know what I mean? Because it could be oops, and you ripped up a little portion, especially with semi-gloss or eggshell. Okay? So I've left this on, and I'm getting ready to remove it. Here's another tip for you. Yes, all about tips. When you have this masking tape down, after you've got everything painted, be careful. You want to make sure that this paint dries on top of this masking tape before you start pulling up all the masking tape. If you pull the masking tape up before it's dry on the masking tape, you're going to get it all over your hands and anything you touch. Oops on the tile, oops on the carpet, oops on the adjoining wall, oops all over the place. And plus, you're going to start finding that some of that paint's going to drop back down on top of your baseboard, on the edge of your baseboard, on your door jamb, on your door, you know, all that kind of stuff. So there's another tip for you. I thought I'd show you one more thing here. Okay, I just got a putty knife. I'm just going to lightly mark down here, right at the edge of the tape line. Not doing very much, just enough that if there's any paint there, I don't want it to rip up. Now, when you're peeling this up, don't just stand up and jerk this straight up. Here's the other thing I wanted to show you. As you're removing it, you want to pull this down over it and pull at an angle. And just go slow. You know, that will rely and make sure that you don't get anything loose or on here and have it rip up and have some of your paint rip up further. Okay, just pull down at an angle. And incidentally, I've only had this tape on here for like a day. The other good thing with blue tape, you can leave it on for a couple days. You know, 2-3 days if you need to. Okay? Sometimes you've got to pay more on masking tape, for instance. You're paying more for the masking tape, but you're saving more because of the ease of installing it and of removing it and of making sure that you don't get paint from your paint you just put on the wall, especially if it's not the same color as your baseboard. You're not going to get any to bleed through. That's a nice straight line there. And with the regular masking tape, like I said, sometimes it has a tendency to want to bleed through the edge and kind of soak under. You think you're doing such a great job, and you pull it up, and there's a little bit, there's a little bit of paint, there's a little bit of paint, and it's snuck right under your masking tape. This blue will not do that. They also have green masking tape that just came out, about the same color as the wall, and I saw some orange masking tape at the paint store too. But, you know, they came out with the blue. I use the blue. You know, read the directions and all that stuff, and you decide what you're going to do.